think this is it's almost like a split point of view. And it's almost like how if you're an artist, the artist would be the kids, the label would be us, right? They're not going to have that money.
But
They haven't put in that work. They haven't held those positions. They have not had the time to have that kind of money. So of course we're going to fund that. We're also the parents, like you said. So we're going to buy it for the kids, right? But to Nick's point, there has to be a shift out. We said it in our generation. Some of these people got to shift out of the way. So, and it's not to say, oh, you rotten, oh, you too old, but it's just your position and your contribution has to change.
well,
Hey
We
Nick,
that new CBS
Nick,
generation.
I'm finding it interesting because, you know, I hate to be this dude, but we don't really hear that on the white side. You know, they still got their power bases, and yes, they bring their kids in and put their kids in position, but it's not a youth-driven culture like so much on the white side of things. You know, the people who have made the Peter Thiels and those guys have, you know, love them or hate them, they made their money and they kind of locked themselves in. And there's no like, oh, you know, those guys are old now. We got to get the 20-year-old, you know, podcasters because they're the really no ones that really know what's going on. It's not really like that. To my last point, I think we're sleeping on like Nick is saying. I agree with Nick. I think we're sleeping on that 35 and up thing, and we're seeing it now with the spotlight. I should say being put on like the Martha's Vineyard culture and stuff like that. There's still a lot of, you know, grown people out here moving and grooving, making money, doing things, but maybe just don't want to be in the spotlight of it. I think it's very dangerous to like say we got to give the culture to a bunch of 20.
No, we're not saying we can't do our thing. I think that's what I'm saying. We're having a split conversation here, right?
Okay.
We have our section that we can do what we do with it, right? We just don't need to try to do what they're doing. We don't. It's not to. I think the era that at least I'm seeing sometimes, not with everybody, is trying to maintain youth instead of embracing the age in which you're at. We have to keep in mind if we're growing up, there's millions of us that we can market to, sell to, that we're seeking the same things. It's like being here in Atlanta. Half of us ago, I don't want to be where they're twerking and smoking hookah and I'm trying to have my brunch. Like, I'm not in the age group anymore. It doesn't mean that we can't have spots we'll enjoy. It doesn't mean they can't have spots they'll enjoy. But we just have to understand, like, hey, if it's some little young rapper and that's what they're saying they want, let them have that. But we can't tell them they can't have it and that it's wrong. At the same time, we can embrace our artists that are maturing, that are still putting out dope music, that are still putting out dope apparel, that are still creating these experiences and back that as well.
we're the first.
well, no, I'm sorry, I ain't going to cut you off. I know I wanted to get Joseph. I know Joseph was trying to say something. I know you got TC up on the stage, and I just want to be mindful of pulling people up from the audience if we got any that want to come up. So just keep that in mind. But I'll shut up. Go do speak. Whoever was gonna speak.
My bad. But to Jeff agree, white people do it because the Peter Thiel got Big Blue. Whatever his name is, to help screw up the country, and he was only what 20 years old. So they do it as they have the young well. So that's fantasy that white folks don't do stuff that black folks do that's not true. But to the other point that we keep hearing, the key word maintain. There's nothing new under the sun. So everything that these young people think that they're doing that's new has been done before. I think that the key thing is it's not necessarily young folks moving the culture forward, but maintaining the culture and that being good stewards of what has already been presented to, like preserving legacy. And so that's one thing that I think that we really need to focus on. Like, if we're going to give young folks the platform to push the culture forward, make sure that they understand the responsibility that comes along with it. Because yes, a lot of power in these platforms, but a lot of them don't understand the responsibility that they have in terms of the influence and the impact that they have with their words and how they move. So that's all I just wanted to say.
Boom. Thank you for that. So real quick, let's get some of these. Not real quick. We're gonna give y'all some time, but Queen Mo, welcome back to the stage. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm loving this conversation because I was just thinking this the other day. My short point is low income community and the disabled community. There's a lot of disconnect, but there's a lot of connect because what I'm finding is my oldest will be 18 and she's into drawing and different things like that. So again, maintaining the community and hearing their voices, but me being of 45, passing that torch is letting her know, like Josh said, you know what I'm saying, the responsibilities and hearing their voices. We're all moving the culture as a collective, but there's a mission portion of the community that have been speaking up. I have been on my end, hearing from a lot of the spiritual community that's been moving the ball forward, as far as mental health and different things like that. So I just wanted to chime in and always, keep that peace that, as a collective, we all are moving it, but it doesn't seem that we are. And again, with my oldest that's turning 18 on September 30th, making sure that she's able to understand, where she come from, with her the culture, and letting her still express the things. Again, my daughter, she's a arts, she's draws,
Right.
she's in the AI and different things like that.
Right.
So, maintaining that branch, but
Right.
also maintaining that branch of, the disabled community. There's a lot of people who's doing some groundwork. That's it. That's all.
Great. Thank you for that.
Gary, good morning, guys. Can I jump in real quick?
Bentley, welcome to the stage. Do it.
What up, fam? What's up, y'all? Happy Monday. Now, real quick. Now, I feel like I came in strong in saying, and he said that it's almost like it's the culture is doing like its own like purging of what it wants. And that's through data. I think that's through the perfect timing. I think that's through like just dropping and understanding your market niche, understanding what you're doing to your audience and what you're trying to do to, audiences that you're trying to capture. But I think it's almost as if like metaphysically, like this is like almost like the culture of all of this is actually like what's helping push and move. And that it kind of seems like somewhat organic. Shouldn't the Kaisonauts not be able to move forward? We're so predestined in our brains to kind of be like the people in the back need to stay in the back, people in the front stay in the front. If you're a blacksmith, your daddy a blacksmith, you're a blacksmith. Like we got to get past that and understand that sometimes some of the most iconic cultural movements are happening behind the scenes. And I think now people are realizing that these things need to be coming into the forefront. I think a lot of the times that we haven't seen so many great things from artists or personalities of them. Like I've never really liked the whole East Coast crew. Sorry, y'all. I love the music. When I go there, I'm a G to it, but I'm a Southern guy, so I don't know. But now I really do like them listening to the podcast. So I feel like now a lot of things that are cultural iconic that has happened on the back end that may have also been gray washed and smoke screened and put out to us is now coming to us raw. And it's kind of like a natural kind of thing that is happening here. And maybe I'm wrong, but I'm out of here. I'm about to go drink my blunt and just smoke my blunt and my coffee. All right, bye.
Blessings.
Thank you, Bentley.
DC, welcome to the stage, brother. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I think Bentley was tapping on exactly what I wanted to kind of talk about, which is the reality that culture can no longer just simply be defined as what is music and what is art. I think the culture that has encountered a bit of a cross intersectionality with information and now digital content is what defines the locomotive that drives culture. And a good way to describe this would be you don't just simply define culture by one specific siloed metric, right? It's multiple things. It's information, it's art, but it's also politics. It's also, it's economics, it's education, and all of these things make up all of these individual like threads make up the fabric of what we consider to be culture. And if you're looking at what moves that in our generation or in our society, I think you'd have to say that it's digital content in any and every form. Even this mode of digital content that we're talking on right now,
Right.
it's moving the conversation forward. So I think if you consider that, like culture, I don't see culture the same way you guys do. I think I see culture more so from the perspective of what's driving influence in this country, in America. And if you have an audience, you're monetizing that audience, you're activating and motivating that audience through digital content and podcasts, music. It can even be like, again, social audio, various different other methods. I think that factor has to be, discussed, because what you guys think of culture, I don't think is necessarily shared by the younger generation.
Well, yeah. I mean, just to piggyback off that, I would dare to say that both Nick and Isaac are correct in that. Yeah, it's both are happening at the same time. We're like twin planets for the first time ever in the history of creative arts, culture, finance, business, technology, et cetera, et cetera. This is the first time where there's been young movement and older generation movement at the same time. Like, this is the first time you got 50-year-old artists dropping albums and going on tour and looking great. Like, Nas is in technology and dropping albums, and like, so this is the first time you've had art and culture age in this way, where you can be 60, damn near 70, and people just like, yeah, we'll take an album.
The
Yeah,
common denominator is still Black people.
yeah, exactly.
Yes, hold up. But I actually, TC made a great point, and even Ty, I saw Ty in the chat earlier. He said that record sales shouldn't be the indicator or shouldn't be the driver of like influence or culture, right? And I think to TC's point, for as long as I've been alive, whoever was the heavyweight champ of the world, whoever was the hottest artist, that's who kind of drove cool, right? So, from my dad's age, Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, James Brown, Marvin Gaye, Teddy Penn, like those were the people that was like, this is what cool looks like. Isaac Hayes, Ron Isley, that was the thing. And up into our age, Puff, Jay, like T.I., at one point, like, these were the people who, like, you looked at these people and said, this is what cool looks like. And the culture kind of followed. I think we're in this weird age where, not weird, I don't even want to categorize it as weird, but we're in this weird age where somebody like Gary Vaynerchuk or Earn Your Leisure, or just people who don't necessarily do music, but who are educators or financial advisors or entrepreneur, those people can drive culture almost at the same rate that the musicians, the athletes could or can. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we're in this weird space where I don't know who's really driving culture at this point.
You know what, Nick? I was just thinking something like that. If you look at my picture up here, I got Aaron Francois. I think he's one of the main thought leaders about the potato wedge at KFC. But when you look at like your Stuart Scotts and how he came in with that dope as, hip language and was changing the way that we even enjoyed sports, especially the highlight portion of it. You look at what, as you're saying that, I'm thinking about like the people who are able to move the needle when it comes to their creativity, but also most importantly, their bravery and their mastery of a craft or of an industry, and they get real movement. Those people are the ones, when you see what Casanata has been able to do by himself, by believing in himself, by existing in that space. And then you see, like I said, what Stuart Scott, you can't imagine how many people probably told Stuart Scott to chill out on the ghetto shit, like relax on the commentary, but ESPN was letting him rock. So when you see those people who really lean into themselves, which is ultimately becomes the culture, those are the people who figure the things out. They understand the business. They learn to be like, you hear Isaac talking about mastering what his dad's legacy and continuing that. You can't do that in a place of ignorance. So it takes you to really be so committed and determined and low-key, high-key obsessed with what you're doing. You going by way of execution start to win over people, and now you become believable, credible, and you start by then leading the source of the culture. Consequently, I'll land there.
Nick, but I think that this conversation has opened up a bigger conversation. And something I talk about again is like, I think Black people are moving the culture, right? I just think that that's what it is. So if we can agree that Black culture is moving the culture forward, what does that mean? Like, okay, because I've been on this perspective lately that okay, black culture moving the culture is not enough anymore. We know that now. Cool. So now that we know that black culture moves culture, how can we leverage that in our benefit? So moving culture, so helping other brands further their sales, helping other brands build, take money from our community. How can we leverage our culture against ourselves? How can we turn it? How can we flip it around and move it so that our culture is bringing people back into our money back into our community? Because again, like I said, I said in a post, like individual success can no longer be the flex. I'm excited. Again, I say this all the time. I'm proud of every individual American, including myself, that has accomplished something successful and made money. But that can no longer be the flex that I am that I achieve this level of success. It's for black people. You know what I'm saying? That can no longer be the flex. The flex has to be collectively. Now that we are this group of culture, it's not just one person. It's not just Jay. It's not just Puff. It's all of us together with our memes, with our comments. I ran to the comment section. All the things that we're doing. How can we leverage that and bring power and wealth back to our community? Because we know the answer now. It's black people. It's always been black people, but it's usually been black people in certain silos that were anointed or made the person like, okay, you represent us, like Jay-Z represents us, or Puff represented us, or Michael Jordan represented us. But now we all together are the representation of what culture, a moving culture is for. But how do we codify that? How do we put that in an infrastructure and then turn that into something that benefits us? That's the thing that I think that needs to come from what you brought up today, because it's really it's a great, amazing question. And now that we know the answer to the question, what now?
Well, I think the immediate what now is Kai Cenat and Joe Budden have to do a broadcast together on Earn Your Leisure at InvestFest, like that. Like,
You just combine them all, huh?
yeah, but like the young streamers, the old podcasters, so that, because like you said, we're not a monolith. But so if you got a young streamer and an old podcaster and some financial nerds who like are gonna, put some health and wealth in there, like that's literally how you do it.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's the look.
Mm-hmm.
My point is that the byproduct of black culture is trillions of dollars of wealth. That's the byproduct of black culture. I'm with that all day long. I understand that all day long. If Kai Cenat, Joe Budden, and Earn Your Leisure get on a stage together, how is that going to change? How's that going to affect the wealth gap for black people? How's that going to change anything? And I'm not trying to take it there, but my point is that's what I mean by individual success. It's like put it like this. I have no idea. Like, okay, I'll give a example. Who does anybody know who the Jet2 holiday people are? Like what that is? My point is that whatever that is, if that's a promotion, if it's old or new or whatever it is, imagine if that is bringing millions and millions of dollars of revenue for people using their website or booking through them or whatever it is, or that particular vacation is now the most vacation in the world. And every single day that we post that meme and it's going around, then where's the economic impact to that? That's the point that I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's a great fucking point, Isaac. I didn't even think that joke through far enough to even get there.
It's an ad. That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
like
I know,
it's a
but like
conversation
it's
to be had.
but that's
yeah, I never even thought far enough to even think about like how that's driving anything for that particular. Yeah, how about that?
because I always say all the time, we freestyle greatness. Like we speak like prime example what I said in the last episode of Invested. Like I trademarked something that Sexy Red said. I've been in contact with her team. We've been talking through the weekend or whatever. But my point is that when we say those things and when we do those things, that's what I mean by, oh, I gotta trademark that, or I gotta turn that into something because that can bring money back into our community. You know what I'm saying? So that's all that I'm saying is that how do we speak our sheer speak is trillions of dollars of wealth, and we can't mess that up. You know what I'm saying? We got to figure out, okay, now that we know that we run culture, that's just not enough anymore. Okay, we're the coolest kids on the block. We know the hot shoes, the hot clothes. All right, cool. How do we turn that into wealth for us, though? Just being cool is like not enough anymore. It's like, okay, great, you're cool. Great. Does that change this? Who is that benefiting? That's all that I'm saying.
Monetize the cool.
Well, quick question I'm gonna throw out there. I don't know if you guys are following, but Uncle Nearest is under receivership now. What would be your thoughts on that? I mean, I think that's relevant to this, right? Uncle Nearest is heavy in the culture.
Ooh, I
But
think that's a loaded question to ask at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
But
Yeah, that's too
Yeah.
loaded. That's too far.
Whole conversation.
but I will say, well, damn, I'm scared to even respond because I know what I will say will trigger another hour-long conversation. So I'm gonna hold off on my response to it. But I do think that's a hell of a conversation to have. I think that's a hell of, but Alita, hold on. I think that's a hell of a conversation to have, especially coming right behind the situation with Pinky and Slutty Vegan. So I want to not say shit because we'd be on the phone for an hour.
Respect that.
So I'm gonna hold off on my response. Maybe I'll get in the group chat and tell you what I think about that.
Absolutely.
It's 11:01. I want to go ahead and wrap the call up. Thank y'all to everybody who jumped on stage, everybody in the audience that stuck around and listened, and the chat. Chat's been on fire. Some of y'all, y'all are weird. The chat has been moving like crazy, but nobody wanted to come up on the stage and like really lend their voice to the conversation. Which, you know, hey, to each his own. No issues, no problem. I'm just glad that you guys are a part of the conversation. But some of y'all were making some amazing points in the chats. Tall boy, I
Yes,
got you.
sir.
We'll talk after the call. We'll talk after the call. But yeah, it was some amazing points being made in the chat, bro. That were like, some of y'all has some really cool things to say and some stuff that made me kind of look at some stuff in a different perspective. So I appreciate all of y'all who continue to jump on this call. We do this call every single Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Fanbase. I want to encourage you guys to please, help this, continue to help this call grow. This call, I get so many text messages, emails, DMs about this call. Some people who are listening or heard it from one of y'all, so I appreciate it. And this thing continues to be a blessing to me on a weekly basis, and I hope it does the same for y'all. We do this call, like I said, every single Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Fanbase. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And we will see y'all next Monday right here at this same spot with a new topic, which we probably will end up talking about Uncle Nearest for sure. Or InvestFest, because I know InvestFest is this weekend coming up too, right? Ain't that like we usually do our like recap, critique thing after InvestFest. That's been a thing that we've talked about for the last couple of years. I don't know, but we definitely got to have that Uncle Nearest conversation very, very soon. Because I look at that and I will say this: I think Fawn Weaver, incredible marketer, which is why I want to have the conversation, because it turns into a for sure fire marketing conversation. Same thing with Pinky over at Slutty Vegan. I think both of them are incredible marketers, which may have been the blessing and curse of kind of the headlines that we're reading. So I want to, that is the next topic. That's what we're talking about next week. Thanks, Alita. Save me some brain power. But yeah, I'll see y'all next Monday. We'll be right here on Fanbase, and love and respect, man. We'll talk next week. Peace.
Nick, don't forget about the CEO of Red Lobster.
Hey, that's my guy. I'm still listen. I reached out to him too. I want to get him on this call. I'm trying so hard to get him on this call. So
thank you guys. Thank you for listening. Those of you that tuned in to Memoirs of a Shy Girl. And see you next time, Monday morning marketing, 10 a.m. Eastern.